Thursday, July 15th. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, ConnectiCon 2010.
Let's do this.
So technically, we were back from ConnectiCon Tuesday. We did that show that was one of the crabbiest crab people we've done in a while.
We were back from ConnectiCon on Monday. We just didn't do a
Yeah, because
show.
I didn't have my voice back yet.
I didn't lose mine.
Yeah, I lose my voice much more readily than you do. This is a well-known bit of trivia in Geeknights.
You got to build the skills.
Yeah, mostly what killed me. You know, we didn't even do that many panels. We did, between us, we did, 6 or 7 panels? Not counting the ones, I guess, we kind of threw together at the con.
I mean, that's pretty much the max we've done, not counting the ConnectiCon where we did a room the whole time.
Oh, my God. That was possibly...
Not counting that one time, 6 or 7 is like our max.
Yeah.
And even then, I don't like to do 6 or 7. I like to do 3 or 4.
Yeah, because, of course, it's different at ConnectiCon because we're actually, the heads of panels. We're both the co-directors of panels and workshops for ConnectiCon.
So we give ourselves whatever panels we want.
Yeah. Well,
I actually think we didn't do our panels as well. Well, maybe we should talk about that in the other part of the show.
Yeah, well, all meta, but ConnectiCon, wrecked me, partly because we had to run around, I had the radio on, I'm responding to stuff like, Rim, this panel has disappeared. Rim, Microsoft wants a panel in this room, but there's someone else already in here that you scheduled. We didn't tell you about this. So we, dealing with all that stuff, and on top of that, doing a bunch of panels, and not taking the Monday off like I usually do after a con like that. That about wrecked me. So... crab people on Tuesday, and I guess we're back. I think we're back in our full swing today.
Yeah, we're good.
Though, I do want to address, several people asked what we meant by crab people.
We've explained that 10 times.
Maybe a long time ago?
And do they not watch South Park?
Maybe not, or maybe they don't remember.
I'll tell you what, I'm not even going to tell you again. You can either go and find an old episode of Geeknights where we explain it, or... you can go and get the appropriate South Park DVD and listen to the 30-second commentary, and you'll figure it out.
Man, that commentary really makes me want to get those DVDs just to watch it all in a row.
Even though it's free online, that's pretty much normally I don't watch commentary on anything except South Park. Because
Firefly, I watched the commentary.
Whatever.
And Dr. Horrible, because it was basically it was an alternate musical to the musical.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It was just sung commentary. I know you don't like anything good like Firefly and Dr. Horrible.
Anything bad.
Anyway, the South Park commentary is great. They talk for 30 seconds, maybe a couple
maybe
minutes.
a minute.
Maybe.
But the thing is, they don't do it for the whole episode. So it's basically like when you read a webcomic and then you buy the book of the webcomic and there's a little note under each comic. Yeah, I wrote this when I was drunk. Oh, yeah, this game used to be awesome. Hey, whatever happened to that,
Yeah. That's why I like the Penny Arcade books.
Exactly. So that's what South Park DVD commentary is like, and it's totally worth it. They should put it on, I'd say they should put it on the website, but then why would anyone buy the DVD?
So I feel like a long time ago, we were trying to do a Geeknights DVD, and that petered out mostly for the fact that
it's infeasible.
Even just the
technologically
MP3s,
speaking.
Even if we did per topic in low quality, we cannot fit them on DVDs.
We'd have to use Blu-rays, but then what's the point?
And
or
then,
USB sticks, but then it's too expensive.
Yeah. And we were talking about, well, maybe we'll just do a selection and a value add. If we ever do commentary on Geeknights someday, we'll just have to listen to an episode and do the 1 minute, yeah, that episode sucked.
Yeah. I mean, a DVD is 4 gigs. Even if we got cheap 1 gig USB sticks, not gonna cut it.
Not gonna do it.
We need 16 gig sticks or something like that. It's gonna be ridiculous.
So you were talking up you got something you can say, some opening bit, some way to roll the show in.
Yeah, well, I've had some. I am a healthy person.
Oh God, this again? The fungus?
Oh yeah, but I don't. I have some medical issues, but they're never medical issues that actually are for serious. I need to go to an emergency room, or I need to take a medicine, or anything like that.
Well, there was that one time you had the injury from the Fight Club at RIT.
Oh yeah, right. But that wasn't an illness. That was a physical. That was a wound.
Yeah.
Anyone can get wounded. I mean,
People
in fact,
there...
only men get wounded. Getting wounded is manly. That's better than being just healthy. So.
Well, manly doesn't have anything to do with gender.
Yeah, and I'm obviously, if you've listened to any of our shows about randiness, right? I'm obviously not someone who, is like an old guy who doesn't want to go to the doctor when he's actually ill.
I'll never understand those people.
If I want to go to the doctor, trust me.
The only time I don't
if
go
I
to
got
the
a
doctor,
problem, I gotta go there.
here's the thing. One, I don't go to the dentist when I should.
I didn't go to the. And the thing is, I didn't go to the doctor or the dentist.
Because it was a pain in the ass.
Not because I didn't want to, because I didn't have time. I was moving. I was conventioning. I had something going on every weekend. I was busy at work. I couldn't take a time off from
Oh my
work.
God. Even now, we've cut a lot of conventions out of our schedule, and I look at it, and it still wrecks me. And I look back to when we would go to like 12 conventions over the course of a year.
We should look and look at exactly each year and figure out which year was the busiest.
I think we peaked like, remember that one year? We even went to freaking Anime Next.
Yeah, but we
And we
didn't.
went
The
to
thing is, that
Ubercon
year
that
we went to
year.
Anime Next. We didn't also do like Anime Boston.
No, but we did do Katsucon.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. that.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So I went to the dentist, right, a couple weeks ago, and of course, right, this is some advice for anyone out there.
Are you gonna say? And I quote a very important music video. Brush your teeth. Brush your teeth.
Well, no, I brush my fucking teeth. What the fuck do you think this is?
I don't know.
And no, is that, even if it means like taking a day off from work when it's super busy or, losing a weekend or something, don't not go to the dentist. Because even me brushing and flossing, I had fillings. So the one dentist appointment turned into 3 because I had to go for the left side. And then on Saturday, I'm going for the right side.
Yep.
And so today I went to the doctor for the first time, to get the stuff checked out.
Oh, yeah. I noticed your little, they took blood.
They stole my magical blood. I don't know what they're going to do.
They're going to grow a race of supermen.
They asked me, do you want to test for STDs? And I'm like, I don't know if that'll be necessary. Is that going to be? I was like, I mean, if it doesn't cost anything extra and if it's no extra trouble for you, I mean, you can if you want to. Is the correct
answer not, you'd better test me for all of them?
No, the doctor was like, are you sexually active? I'm like, not right now. Do you know anybody? But, the thing is, another reason that I didn't go to a doctor, right, is because when you're growing up, you've got a doctor because your parents get a doctor for you, right? And you stay with that doctor, like all the way through high school probably, right? But then you leave.
But you go to college.
You go to college.
And you get that nurse for like a couple years.
Well, no, you go to college and the school usually has doctors. So you don't need to find one. You just go to the school doctor. Like you go to the school nurse when you're in high school, right? So when I was at RIT and I had the wounded leg, I went to the RIT doctor. And
they were
cool.
like, are you in a fight club? And then campus safety came by later and they were like, will you sign that you're not in a fight club?
And I'm like, yeah, no, I should have told campus safety I'm in 10 fight clubs. In fact, I'm the fight club champion.
You should be like, where do you think I got this?
Where do you think I have these trophies?
You should have made a trophy.
A broken piece of a bicycle from the front foyer. Anyway, so part of the reason I didn't go to a doctor since I left RIT, I think I went to a doctor once and I just picked the one that was closest to the house in Beacon, right? Is because I didn't know what doctor to go to. I mean, there's a lot of doctors and you go to the insurance company's website and how do you know which one is good? There could be, I've heard of real doctors telling you to get the acupuncture and the chiropractic and the homeopathy, right? So if I can't even trust a real doctor, who do I really don't want to waste my one doctor visit on a BS doctor.
Well, if the BS doctor sucks, just go to another doctor.
Yeah, but then the insurance is like, why did you go to 2 doctors? And I'm like, the first doctor sucked. They're like, we ain't covering that second doctor. And you know what? You know how much I paid to go to the doctor today? $20. You know what says on the bill?
Nah.
Like 400 something, right? I could have gotten like 2 or 3 Wiis. I could have gotten like 9 video games for the price of the doctor if I didn't have it, right? And that's the reduced insurance rate because people don't know this, right? But let's say you go to the doctor, right? And the doctor is $500. I'm picking a nice even number, right? If you go with insurance, not only does the insurance pay for most of it, except the copay or whatever they're going to do, but the price is actually lower. So the insurance would only give them $300 and you give them $20. And the doctor actually makes less money when you're paying with insurance than if you're paying with cash, right? And that's why insurance is a scam. It's BS. They shouldn't be doing that.
It's not so much that it's a scam.
That's
that collusive business practices like that are problematic.
Yeah, that's like if I went to the gas station and I had a Ford, so the gas was $1 a gallon, but if I had a Chevy, it'd be $3 a gallon.
I think we need gas neutrality.
I think we definitely need, doctor price neutrality. The price of a physical should be the price. There shouldn't be this bargain, negotiating anyway.
We could do it based on weight, more person,
Let's
more
not
checking.
turn that into the show.
All right, so you went to the doctor.
So because of busyness and because of untrusting and wariness of Randy doctors, I delayed going to the doctor. But I went to the doctor today, and you know what? The way I picked the doctor is I went to the insurance company's website, and I picked the one that was close to work that had the letter E, because apparently E, according to the insurance company website, says that they adhere to evidence-based medicine practices like a certain percentage of the time, more than other doctors, right?
Wow, I wish I had a metric like that.
Yeah. It was just a symbol that was like E or not E. There wasn't any sort of number associated with it. And you know what? The doctor I went to was probably the best doctor I ever went to. It was like the perfect doctor. And I was kind of worried when I walked in because it was like NYU. And I'm like, oh shit, did I accidentally go to the college doctor? I'm not a student. But I saw old people in there. So
Old students?
No, just real old people. And apparently,
As opposed to fake old people.
the only reason it's NYU is it used to be St. Vincent's apparently. But he's like, you probably heard that St. Vincent's went under if you've been in New York. I'm like, no, I only been here for like a little while. I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
But apparently it just means that the doctors are also faculty. That's all it means. So
all right.
It was totally, if anyone needs doctoring, I don't know. I guess there's laws about recommending doctors, isn't there?
I have no idea.
But anyway, it was a cool doctor. But now I've got a referral to the dermatologist to check on my
The fungus.
in the hair. And, I got another referral for another doctor, so we'll see what's going on. I never had referrals before for other doctors.
now that's because we're old.
Yeah.
We're old.
But otherwise, I was completely healthy. Like, the doctor started asking me questions, and I was like, it was like you're taking an oral exam. Not an oral exam like, he's looking in your mouth, but an oral exam like a test in school where you say the answers. And he was like, do you drink alcohol? I'm like, nope. He's like, you drink coffee? I'm like, nope. I'm like, I'm winning here. I got all. He's like, do you exercise?
See, one day he's going to be like, do you drink orange juice? Ah, shit. Ah, man.
He's like, do you exercise? I'm like, I didn't, but now I'm biking to work, so I win. I was like, I beat you, doctor. You lose.
Yeah, he's like, damn it. Oh, there's a fat guy coming in next. Got him.
Yep, that's right.
So, Otakon has done something that Anime Expo should have done, and because of the nature of the culture, pretty much every convention should be doing this.
Every intelligent convention is already doing it in advance because they have foresight and thinking in their brains.
Yep. The vuvuzela is not welcome at Otakon.
Well, the thing is, all right, so they're going to... All right, banning the vuvuzela is well and good, right? But the thing is, shouldn't they just ban all...
They already do.
All noise-making devices other than,
here's the thing. Most cons have bans already against disruptive behavior and against, like, a generic kind of statement about noisemakers and things. I think the purpose of this vuvuzela-specific ban is that because of the culture right now, people are like I was poking around because people are split weirdly about this ban. A lot of people are like, damn, Otakon, taking away my fun.
I think that the vuvuzela should only be banned if you should be allowed to bring one in. And
no, I don't think you should.
Here's why. Are you ready?
If the crowd is big enough, you cannot deal with it quick enough.
Here's why. What if... All right, the Otakon has this musical area, right? What if I'm bringing in my vuvuzela for legitimate music playing purposes?
See, you know what?
I could bring in a trumpet, right? And I could say, and they would totally let me in because I'm going to go play music in that band area, right? They have the band area, don't they?
So here's a way to
they wouldn't even question that. But if I play my trumpet in an annoying way in the Otterbean lobby and piss everyone the hell off, then you may confiscate my trumpet or my badge.
See, now, the only reason I disagree with that, and I think this is a very pragmatic policy, is that you know what goes on at these cons. You know what's going to happen. No one, and also a vuvuzela can play a flat B flat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make the argument that if you can only play one note, you don't get in.
Oh, so any instrument is okay that can play more than one note.
Yeah, even a snare drum's got 2 notes.
Are you ready for this, Rim? I'm gonna beat your policy so fast.
All right.
How do you think I'm gonna do this? Can you guess?
I don't know, because I'll just ban whatever you say I'm banning.
I'm gonna drill a hole in my vuvuzela.
All right. You know what?
It plays 2 notes: open hole, closed hole.
And then we ban you for being disruptive, and that's the end of that.
That's fine. But
yeah.
It's like, okay, pragmatically, you got to just ban anyone bringing the vuvuzela in.
Remember, Otakon banned the yaoi paddle before, and that saved us a lot of BS.
I don't know what the harm is in the actual yaoi paddle.
Because people are hitting each other with them. It's just mechanism design. It's the
if anyone hits anyone, you should just kick them out and ban them forever.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's a younger demographic. We didn't ban them at ConnectiCon.
In fact, the penalty should be you get hit.
But woe betide.
And if it's consensual hitting, what's the problem?
You know how often I was radioing back up, be like, there's a girl dressed like this, blue vuvuzela, she just blew it. If you see her blow it anywhere, kick her out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they actually kicked anyone out, but we kept the vuvuzela under control.
Yeah, the vuvuzela, there was like a couple of them early on, but then they were gone.
But of course, we only had, 7,000 to 8,000 people.
Okay, so
at
Otakon is
ConnectiCon.
like 4 of those. So it's 4 ConnectiCons simultaneously.
But also much denser. I mean, even if someone in the middle of a crowd is like, vuvuzela, by the time you get to them, he's dropped it. He's passed it to someone else. You can't get it.
Yeah, it's just a matter of there's a conflict between my idealistic, this is how it should be done, this is what's right, and what's practical to be done.
And I will say this, having been the head of panels for ConnectiCon this year, practicality will win out every time with me for pretty much the rest of my life.
I don't know, most of the time.
In most cases. So what's scary is that a lot of people, it seems like it's split like 70-30. Like 70% of the people out there are like, yes, thank you for banning these god-awful things. Or people are like, I was at Anime Expo. I don't want to even remember it. But there's people, like a small minority, who are really angry about this.
All right.
I mean,
there's still, they got rid of the hug signs and they got rid of...
Oh my God. I want to get rid of those at ConnectiCon.
Well, I can understand, right, the obvious prostitution, proximity kind of situation. But really, what is a hug? Unless someone is hugging people, unsolicited hugging, right? What is the harm?
Scott,
in
cons ban them because specifically of the legal liability. That's the only reason.
That's fine.
That's the only
I have
reason.
no problem with that. But the thing is, when people were discussing the hug sign at ConnectiCon, they were not bringing up that particular reason.
Well, it's the same thing. We're talking about like the meme shouting.
If they were to bring up
issues.
that reason and say, yes, there is a legal liability with the hug sign, I would say, fine, get rid of it. But if they say we're banning the hug sign because...
but note, Scott, the discussion at ConnectiCon, we don't ban hugs.
I know, but there were people who saying we should.
Yeah, people in the audience, but they can say what they want. It's the con feedback.
All right. That's fine.
All right.
But if you say ban it because it creeps me out, it's like, what? Well, should we ban the furry costume because it creeps you out too? I mean, come on.
Well, you got to be pragmatic about it. Really, you look at the demographic of the convention. You look at past behavior. Like, say the hug thing, like we see, like demonstrably, this hug thing is causing a problem. Then the next year, we can say, look what happened last year. There's no way out of this but to ban it.
That's
Got to
right.
be smart about it.
Yeah. All right.
It's Thursday. You can talk about whatever you want.
Oh, I do have a news. Right.
All right.
So I'm sure everyone knows about. All right. Rim, you're banned from Geeknights.
Aw.
All right. So everyone knows about Old Spice guy, right?
Oh, yeah. I
And
kinda like him.
his epic Geeknights-like display of making like an internet video every 4 minutes.
Oh, my God.
Right? And, the thing is, I applaud their skills, right? They obviously had people who were excellent writers of jokes. They had an excellent actor. They had an excellent set, excellent, production crew to put out these videos so quickly. They had excellent internet people who knew what was up. Like they knew what Anonymous was, and they knew what was popular, and they were covering Facebook and even nerdy things like Reddit, right? Places normal people don't even know exist. Looking for comments to respond to on YouTube. They had it down. They were all very smart people with the skills.
I see where you're going with this. Let's see.
So I applaud their great talents and excellent productions and providing everyone with awesome entertainment.
So
right?
can I ask you a question? I'm going to see if I'm on the right track. Do you wear Old Spice?
Exactly. Is this going to sell them any Old Spice? It seems like this is the new thing. It's going to definitely has brand awareness. If they want people to know what Old Spice is, people didn't know. If they wanted people to know that Old Spice has body wash, guess what? I know that now. I thought it was just deodorant. Now I know they have body wash.
Yeah.
Am I going to buy Old Spice body wash? Not a chance in hell.
Well, the reason I don't is that it smells like old.
They should make new Spice. I might at least try it once. At the very least, I would go into the drugstore, open it, and take a whiff.
You do a cross brand, right? It's New Spice. On the cover, Dune.
Treachery.
You have two flavors.
Treachery.
Spice
Try new Treachery body wash for the.
from the makers of Spice. I'll be honest.
It comes in sandworm and.
No amount of advertising ever changed me. I don't wear antiperspirant. Screw that. And I just wear basically unscented antibacterial deodorant that has
I
a
also
neutral
wear
smell.
deodorant, but it has a scent, and I switch between red, green, and blue.
Mine has a slight scent, but it's basically the scent of the antibacterial.
The thing is, I don't know what the difference is between the red, green, and blue. They're all basically the same.
Is it like Dimetapp?
One of
or
them is
NyQuil?
one of them is like Arctic something, and the other one is I don't even know.
I tended to go with the Arctic something because every brand has their Arctic equivalent.
That's the blue one, I think.
Because that was the least like offensive.
I think
smell.
one of them is like Active Sport something, which is whatever.
I use my Adidas.
But yeah, I think that, I'm still waiting for the time when people figure out that advertising as a whole is sort of a scam, right? Advertising sort of works when you put it on TV because, it basically hypnotizes and brainwashes stupid people into buying something. But it doesn't work on internet people. I want to see statistics.
Do you know? You're positing. I don't disagree with you necessarily, but we don't have data.
I would be incredibly surprised. I want to see data. Show me the sales of Old Spice. Now, here's the thing. It might be thrown off, right? Here's some factors that might make it look like Old Spice sales increased when they did not. Ready? Factor number one that might make Old Spice look like it's selling more is there's a middleman, the drugstore, the Duane Reade. And they might be convinced because of this campaign that Old Spice is going to sell more. And they might order extra Old Spice body wash.
Yep, because I don't know. I guess they do it like the book industry.
But there is no evidence. We need numbers from the drugstore of how Old Spice sells through to the customer. This is actually something that happens to comics a lot. Is if you look at comic sales figures, it tells you how many copies of the book are sold to the comic shop. It doesn't tell you how many are sold through to people.
The same thing happened with TSR back in the day. Their D&D books sold well for a while, and then every bookstore had one full set of D&D books that never sold again. And eventually they all got shipped back to TSR.
That's what happened to the anime. That's what happened to the manga. That's why Media Play couldn't pay its bills to all the anime companies because they put all this anime on the shelf that they didn't sell through. Comic books, they'll tell you, oh, we sold a zillion Batmans. But then you go to the convention and you see all the quarter bins, the 50-cent bins, the dollar bins are filled with those issues of Batman.
And Booster Gold.
Because the comic book store bought too many copies. Right? And that is the thing there. So that's one thing that could throw off the sales.
I think I can sum
Spice.
this up. Our supposition is that this guy has basically sold himself, but not Old Spice.
This guy is going to have awesome acting jobs.
Oh my God, I want to get him at a con.
Oh, absolutely.
Like MagFest or something weird.
Oh, dude, at MagFest with the Duke Nukem guy.
Balls of Spice.
Oh my God. It would just be epic with the entertainment value.
Oh my God.
It's like they've done a really good job of making a TV show. They've done a really bad job of selling Old Spice. In fact, did you see the reply from this great, awesome dude who did, he was like Duff Men? Did you see that guy?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Oh man, that guy's awesome. You got to check this guy out.
I will check this out.
He's on Boing Boing. I'll show you when the show's over.
So right on to things of the day. I feel stupid. I saw this picture, the thing that is my thing of the day, and I immediately realized that I am not a good problem solver. Because remember when we lived in Colony at RIT, we had that shitty electric oven. That thing was like the worst oven ever. Mm-hmm. And it was like super uneven. My thing of the day is the instructions on how to make a map of your broiler. And then or even a map of your oven. And you can just use this to know where the hot spots and cold spots are in your oven. Just take a pan, cover it in slices of bread, put it in, turn it on, wait until somewhere turns black, pull it out, take a picture of it, broiler map. Darker is hotter.
It would work better if you had one big bread.
Yeah, but that's not...
Because then the crust wouldn't,
If I'm the kind of person who's made one big bread, I probably already have a good oven.
The other thing, this doesn't count for broiling, but for baking at least, I have the baking sheet.
Yeah.
Which really helps out. And it's a gas oven that helps out even more. Anyway. Is that it?
That's it. It's cool. I like this.
All right. I have for you an open letter to the French Parliament, originally published in 1845.
1845?
It is a petition for the manufacturers of candles, tapers, lanterns, sticks, street lamps, snuffers, and extinguishers.
Snuffers.
And from the producers of tallow, oil, resin, alcohol, and generally of everything connected with lighting. And basically, this is one of those things from the olden days where you say, more shit changes, more shit stays the same.
Here's an example. That was the year the rubber band was invented.
What?
Yeah, that was the year The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe was published for the first time. That was the year, at least.
Yeah, basically, this letter to Parliament talks about, man, there's some guys, they're making candles in another country under far superior conditions, and they're flooding the domestic market with candles at an incredibly low price, and it's hurting our business, right? And let's see, the rival, which is none other than the sun, is waging war on us so mercilessly that we suspect he is being stirred up against us by perfidious Albion. Particularly because he has for that haughty island a respect that he does not show for us. And we ask you to be so good as to pass a law requiring the closing of all windows, dormers, skylights, inside and outside shutters, curtains, casements, bullseyes, deadlights, and blinds. In short, all openings, holes, chinks, and fissures through which the light of the sun is wont to enter houses, to the detriment of the fair industries with which we are proud to say we have endowed the country, a country that cannot, without betraying ingratitude, abandon us today to so unequal a combat.
Wow.
And that's just part of this letter. How relevant is that today to say, I don't know, DRMs, right? And other such things.
I think more to the point is that look at the level of discourse
or
of this
outsourcing things to India or China, right? This is so incredibly relevant to all these things. It's like, look, this is the reality of the world. We shouldn't make laws that basically illegalize the reality of nature and the world.
Except vuvuzela.
For the benefit of business, right? It's like, yes, we must outlaw, computers have this magical ability, right? Therefore, and that is hurting business, which has relied on that ability not existing. Therefore, we need to outlaw that. It's like if wizards invented the flying spell. So in order for the airlines to stay in business, we need to outlaw wizardry. That's what, because copying has now become possible, we need to outlaw copying so we can continue to sell CDs and DVDs, because really that's not working out for us. It's the same as this, which is let's outlaw the sun so we can sell more candles, right? This is obviously a satirical letter, but it applies so well today. How can you ignore?
To be fair, you don't know. You could go back to that day. That guy has got cannons pointed, every day he's firing cannons at the sun, getting just that much closer to taking it out once and for all. So, the meta moment that I almost forgot about.
All right.
Coming up, the Otakon is the 30th. It is this week, or next weekend. Not this weekend, not next weekend, but the following weekend.
Why did you say what date it is?
July 30th, 31st, and 1st. But sadly, we have an announcement. We will not be attending Otakon or performing any of our panels this year.
In any capacity whatsoever.
Really, sadly, they don't have a panel schedule announced yet, and we kind of passed all of our deadlines for setting up our own stuff. So there's really nothing we can do. We hope we'll be there at Otakon 2011. I apologize to all of the listeners who have emailed me or who have responded to our Twitter about the fact that we won't be there.
Or anyone who has gone to Otakon expecting us to be there, and, if we were a factor in your decision to go.
So I would recommend, in the very least, you should check out Daryl Strat will be there doing some panels with the Anime World Order crew, and I'm assuming Mike Toole will be there doing his awesome stuff. So go and have fun. Tell us how it is, but it's basically, sadly, no one in the front row crew is going to Otakon.
Yes.
Independent of us, our entire circle of friends and our staff and everyone.
Who has been going every year since 2002.
They all bailed on us months ago, so Scott and I were going to be the only ones going anyway.
Yeah,
so.
There are pretty much three other, besides the lateness of the schedule, which pretty much sealed us not going, there are three other reasons we did not go.
We held out. It wasn't until this morning that we had to give up.
But we would be remiss to not mention all of the four reasons of not going. The first reason, late schedule, right? Reason number two is that we're in New York City and we don't have cars anymore. So going to Otakon is much more difficult for us than it was in the past. I mean, if we still had cars or if we lived closer, we may still have gone.
This is part of the reason why we've really moved on to Anime Boston, because we cut out Anime Next and all that. Because we can just fly there really easily.
Yeah. Reason number three is the same reason that all of our friends have bailed, which is not mailing the badges still. I mean, right?
Yeah, there's nothing we can do about that.
Nothing we can do about it. And then reason number four is simply that Otakon isn't really that good to us. Other conventions, Anime Boston gives us hundreds of dollars to go, right? And they're actually the only ones who pay us actual money. But you look at ConnectiCon, they love us. They
made us the heads of panels, so
right.
Either we did something right or they're setting us up for some horrible fall. They're going to murder us.
PAX, gives us what we need. And it's, I'm not saying, you need to kiss our feet to get us to show up. Not every convention we go to.
That helps, though. When MagFest emailed me, that was a really nice email, guys.
Yeah. Obviously it helps. But it's not necessary. We go into Otakon because we want to entertain the fans of Otakon. We don't go for us. We go for the people there to bring them a better convention. But, we can't go if you really, you can't, we're not asking for money. That's something Anime Boston happens to give us. We would still go to Anime Boston without it. We're not asking for hotels or comps or anything like that. A free badge, I guess, might be necessary. And skipping the line is necessary. But if you give us that, we're good, But Otakon, really, they just make it hard for us to go. It's like they put up blocks in our way.
It mostly just comes down to the scheduling from that and that front. Like for my interactions, it's the only con where we actually submit panels and then wait for a response and then, wait for the schedule where they'll approve, but they won't, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Everyone else, I just have like a conference call a few months ahead of time where we sort it all out.
They make it difficult for us. If they would make it easy, like New York Anime Festival, what do they give us? They're not giving us anything except for panels, right? That's it.
Yeah.
They don't give us anything.
Well, and that golden badge, but...
No, but I mean, they give us basically the same thing Otakon gives us. They don't give us anything different from them, except... Otakon makes it hard for us to go, where New York Anime Festival makes it easy.
One thing with the New York Anime Festival Comic-Con is that they make it very easy to attend, partly due to the fact that the 7 train goes almost all the way to the Javits.
Yeah, I mean, if I lived in Baltimore or close to it, DC, I'd probably go to Otakon and not New York Anime Festival because it's the same treatment. Well, maybe I would probably would have gone this year because it's the double MegaCon.
Yeah,
but I probably never would have gone in the past, ever. But that's just how it is.
Yep. So, again, we apologize. I know a lot of you expect us to do panels. None of the front row crew are really going to be there, so try to bother Dave and Joel and Daryl and Mike Toole. Tell them we sent you.
PAX Prime is
sold out,
and is Labor Day weekend.
We're going to be there doing
Seattle,
doing at least 2 panels. All we can announce right now is we're doing egregiously unrealized potential, which is I like to call it the ActRaiser panel.
All right,
and we're doing game mechanics and mechanism design, which is pretty much the hardest core. Like, all right, you assholes, you want us to talk about the theory straight up? Let's go. Let's rock.
So this is a game of imperfect information.
Yeah, we're gonna actually, every time we do a panel, we're like,
this is a zero-sum perfect information game.
So game theory, blah, and then we just talk about games. This time we're gonna be like game theory, blah, game theory, game theory, game theory, game theory, game.
This is a prisoner's dilemma. This is a Nash equilibrium.
This is a coffee grinder. Oh, wait.
That looks like World of Warcraft to me.
We have a couple other events we're going to be doing.
The New York Anime Festival, New York Comic-Con, Combo Con
we're
of
doing,
Doom.
At Friday and Saturday at the New York Anime Festival Comic-Con, we're going to be doing pretty much as many panels and things that we can't announce yet.
Dude, I need at least like 3 hours to walk around both of those mega exhibit halls.
Oh,
but that's
my God,
all I need,
Well, luckily, hopefully if we do that, the screening room thing that we're still sorting out,
then
snap. That's easy. You walk in, hey, this is blah, 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 5 minutes, you're out of there, and now you got 2 hours to go wander around.
All right. Okay. The only other metas we have are that the Studio Ghibli movie based on Earthsea, which reportedly was okay-ish, is going to be in theaters soon. Of course, it's limited run, New York City, LA, whatever. We'll probably go see it, I guess. I don't know. I have some other local New York City events, but they're technology related, so I'll tell you about them on Monday. And the book club is The Lies of Loch Lamora. Maybe the next Thursday episode or the one after that, because Rim actually read. Did you finish it?
Yeah, a while ago.
Holy crap, he actually read the book. It's a miracle.
I'd finished Cosmos way early, too.
No, you didn't. You said you were still reading it.
I was reading, over parts again to remember, what I liked, what to talk about.
Anyway, maybe we'll have book clubs a lot more often if we continue this trend. It'll be good.
Yeah, well, have any of you read it yet?
No.
No?
Maybe. No, I read it. Oh, so we did news thing of the day. Okay, ConnectiCon.
So, as you know, we've said that we are the heads of panels for ConnectiCon. We're going to try to not talk about meta-con stuff in any way until we've talked about the con from the fan perspective. Because it's very easy for us to talk about cons from this kind of professional staff guest perspective. And it's a stupid review. Like when we went to the New York Anime Festival that one year where they even gave us guest billing and everything. What kind of review of the con is, yeah, well, they took us right in. They gave us free badges. They let us do whatever we wanted. That's not useful to you.
No.
It's also kind of dickish.
Yeah.
So ConnectiCon is, for anyone who doesn't know, a lot of our listeners are actually surprisingly really interested in ConnectiCon because this year we published the schedule after we'd finished it in our own forum. And a lot of people who, don't live in the States, don't live around here, saw it. And the response we got from these people was overwhelming. It generally, I'll sum them all up into one sentence. Holy shit, that con looks awesome.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the thing is, right, this is basically if I have one thing to say about ConnectiCon, it's this, right? Pretty much most of what we saw was panels because we were running and doing panels. That's 90% of my weekend was that. I didn't get to play a single board game. I bought a board game in my one 30-minute trip through the dealer's room. I did not get to play a single game. I was very sad.
I talked to all our friends that are like doing stuff at the con. The only time we saw Yuko and Ananth at all.
I high-fived Yuko once during that trip to the dealer's room.
I also high-fived her during my trip to the dealer's room.
I saw Ananth during his panel. I think I helped him with some technology.
I saw the panel getting done. I didn't get to stay for it.
Yep.
But we saw them at the bar, which apparently is the only building that is unlocked after midnight in Hartford.
That has food that's within walking distance, but appetizers only by the time we get there.
Which is fine because I can make a meal out of appetizers.
Oh, that tostada is pretty good.
That tostada is pretty good.
I'm so hungry because I didn't eat this morning because they told me not to eat after midnight for the doctor.
Yeah.
And I was like, fucking gremlins, what the shit?
But basically, ConnectiCon, like a lot of people think it's an anime con, but it's not.
I didn't finish what I was saying.
Oh, all right, we'll finish what you're saying.
Is that the general thing I have to say about ConnectiCon is this, right? Is that most cons you go to, you don't really get to see every panel, right? It's pretty much impossible. You see like a very small sampling relative to the amount on the schedule. Because I was running panels, I saw almost every panel for at least a few minutes. Some of them I ran and some of them I saw the whole thing. When we went through the schedule and put smiley faces, frowny faces, or flat faces, or notes on every panel after, reviewing them basically, I was amazed at the sheer number of like smiley faces, which means like fucking awesome. We don't give a smiley face if it's just an okay panel.
No, I mean the
smiley face is like that panel was awesome and
like exceeded everything.
I was like, wow, smiley face again. Holy shit! I just kept putting smiley face after smiley face. It was like epic.
And the con feedback was great because numerous people basically said it was the best like year of panels ever, which it means a lot to us. Before we'll stop all this meta, mostly for the fact that we actually took over the panels department halfway through the year and totally had to like wing it and throw everything together at the last minute.
I mean, I don't know what to think about the feedback panel though, because they were like most of the comments were about panels. They weren't really that many about
actually the rest
else.
of the staff. I had my report of like the panels department, and they basically said, "Yeah, remember how last year you guys scheduled a panels feedback separate from the con feedback?
Yeah,
we got to do that again."
Really?
Yeah,
because I mean, there was almost no feedback for anything else but panels.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm wondering, is that because we failed so hard, all the complaints were about us? Because that could be true.
But
it could also be true.
No one had a complaint.
Well, they had some complaints, but
one guy didn't like one panel he went to, and one girl didn't like one panel she went to.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, is every other part of the convention just so perfect that there's no complaints, or is it so tame that there's nothing to say, good or bad? Is it good or bad that most of the feedback was for us?
Well, I can say this.
I don't know.
I want to get out of the meta, but we keep pulling back to the meta. I had the radio on a lot longer than you did because I had the earpiece. So I listened to like the radio.
I had the radio on even when it wasn't on my ear.
Yeah, but
I just had it on.
You only had it Saturday and parts of Friday, and then Sunday. I had it, on all day Friday. And it seems like the staff were good enough at any time there was an issue, like jumping on it and fixing it before most attendees notice, that I think that goes a long way to the lack of negative feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Also, anyway, skipping all the meta stuff, ConnectiCon is a con about everything. Our goal, at least us for panels, is 1/3 anime stuff, anime, manga, comics, all that sort of that like genre / medium of stuff.
You got to get the webcomics, you got to get the sci-fi, you got to get the fantasy, you got to get the arts and crafts, you got to get the technology, you got to get the gaming, you got to get the tabletop and the video and the miniatures and the, other geeky things in there like the airsoft and the paintball and anything that is nerdy in any way, the parkour and the para and the belly dancing and the hypnotism guy and pretty much cosplay. Anything that's geeky that falls in our realm, we're going to try to get it in there somewhere, right?
So imagine a con that 1/3 of the attendees are like Otakon or Anime Boston attendees. Cosplayers running around yelling, having a good time. 1/3 are gamers, the same people who go to PAX. And 1/3 are just like everybody else, old ladies, mothers. We had a whole family, the mother, the father, and the son, all did panels, and all of them were like grade A panels.
Mm-hmm. The family that geeks together?
Yeah.
Yeah, they geek together a lot. I saw them playing Spooky Manor.
Spooky Manor.
They were quite good at that. But yeah, and the thing is, Daryl Sarai, you can't complain because you know what? It says right there on the cover of the con book, ConnectiCon, everything but the kitchen sink. It is an everything con. It does not advertise itself as any specific thing, right? Therefore, it is okay for us to do everything, and we will do everything. We want to get all the nerds, because Connecticut isn't really the most populous state. It's spread out, big houses, lots of trees, and most of it, right? So, it's not, there's a lot of geeks up there who are underserved, and we want to serve all the geeks in that area, because it's not like there's any, in order to serve, we want to get the convention to be bigger, But if we just had just anime, we wouldn't get as many people. If we had just gaming, we wouldn't get as many people. But if we get them all together, which we can do, we can get all those geeks together. And because a lot of people have crossover interest, we are serving a greater population and a greater, need with the bigger con. And that's the way ConnectiCon should be.
The other thing that helped out a lot and that we do is we have workshop rooms and we filled them with like just straight up workshops. I mean, there's this plushie building workshop that is just amazing.
I think that was the same one that was at Anime Boston.
I think it was.
If I'm correct.
And like a sculpting one, a whole bunch of art panels, ball jointed dolls, a bunch of jewelry making panels. We had a knitting workshop that the popularity of that surprised us immensely.
Almost every workshop I went to peek in on, even like writing workshops, basically almost all, if they were in the small room and there was actual arts and crafts involved, full. And the big room, like almost all of them just filled the big room. The origami one was insane. It actually went over time. I had to be like, all right, guys, look, you got to get out. It's enough origamis.
Yep.
We had to go downstairs and rush and like take the con's paper from the printer and bring it up there so more people could do origami.
But like for an example, like we had a panel on Japanese tea ceremony, Obe Earworks and Walt Disney, the American Tezukas, How to Not Suck at GMing. That wasn't us. That's the Albany School of GMing. Those guys kick fucking ass.
Yep.
We had a kendo workshop. We had a million like steampunk panels that were awesome. We had one, Beyond Victoriana. This was a steampunk
That panel was so awesome.
We got to bring that back and put it in like a bigger room.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, that panel was...
It needs a different name. I didn't know what it was till I saw it.
So steampunk's really popular, right? It's a good thing it didn't have a different name because that room, we had to line out the door. Mm-hmm. It was about steampunk that's anything but like Victorian Europe.
Yeah,
like
notice
Russian steampunk.
Like I never really thought about it, but all steampunk is basically Victorian plus gears and brass, right? It's like, why not have like, Native American steampunk or some Russian there's so many other nationalities and time periods and you could even do Star Wars steampunk, or you could take your steampunk with anything but Victorian England and it could be awesome. You could do it with 1700s US steampunk. It'd be a little different from the Victorian England, right? So she was like, why not do something different? And it was totally, totally sweet. That was like genius, that panel.
Yep. We had like a cell painting workshop, an old school inking one, a Japanese woodblock workshop. That was freaking boss.
Man, I wanted to go to that, but I couldn't go to that.
Oh, I know.
Next
year?
I went over to it thinking I'm going to make a woodblock print, but then it was full already.
Next year, the one thing we kind of rushed this is that my philosophy for running conventions from this point forward is it's dictate, delegate, or do it yourself.
That's right.
And I'm delegating a lot.
We did not delegate nearly enough. Pretty much whenever something came through, I would most of the time just go and try to take care of it.
Yep.
And I would only delegate like if I was pretty sure someone was not doing something already.
But we had a bunch of Gaia panels, a bunch of meet and greets for all these webcomic artists and all the guests. We had our first like a Japanese guest, Minoru Ono. He is a producer of anime. He's an awesome guy. He's a professor. And him and Aizawa Sensei came and did like this awesome panel on kawaii, like cute culture.
Yeah, and what's great? What really surprised me though, right? I mean, I guess it helped that we pimped the panel and tried to tell people to go to it, right? During our very popular panel that
the anime you should see
that was very convincing. But it's like, friggin' Noboru Ishiguro, like huge dudes at AnimeCon, like guys who made Macross and crap, huge Japanese anime producers have trouble filling the room. Fred Show has trouble filling the room at Otakon. At ConnectiCon, little convention that is not just an anime con, that includes many other things.
We had like 7,500 or so people.
This guy is in basically the same size room that they have at Otakon for the small panel room, right? And he's from Japan. He's doing a panel on kawaii and anime culture. Friggin' packed. Like, we had to close the door. No more permitting. That was amazing.
I was so pleased with that.
That was great.
And they had such a good time. They came to a bunch of our panels, too. That was cool.
Speaking of full rooms, right? 2 points to the fire marshals, right?
Oh, my God.
Do you remember my story of PAX East? The Boston fire marshal was the awesomest dude. He was this short, jolly, fat dude with a big old mustache, and he was, like, so fucking awesome. I was like, oh, my God, you are the best fire marshal, right? The fire marshal who came to ConnectiCon, right? I was like, he came down walking down the hall, and I'm like, hey, you the fire marshal? He's like, no, it's a costume.
And he keeps going just without skipping a beat.
That was like the best fire marshals. I think in order to be fire marshal, like to get the job, it's like job requirement number 1, be an awesome dude. It's like, I don't even know if I could get that job because I'm not awesome enough. Maybe I should just quit and try to become a fire marshal. That's
think
a
you gotta be
full-time job, right?
I think you got to be a fireman first.
But fireman
You
is a
gotta be
volunteer
able-
job.
You got to be able to do a push-up, Scott.
But the thing is, being a fireman is a volunteer job, but not in New York City. It's an actual job.
Yeah,
and I
also in
can't,
Detroit, my dad's a fireman.
yeah, and I can't get that job.
My grandpa was a fireman.
I think it's too late for me to get that job.
But like, so I'm getting all these crazy panels, like anime, video games, everything, all over the place. Even like the cosplay.
Not every panel was awesome. I mean, there were some panels I personally did not enjoy that were full. There were some panels that seemed like they were good in material, but were empty. You know,
But then part of that was like, well, it was scheduled at 9 a.m., so we're trying to normalize.
we definitely normalized. But you know, there were not every panel was perfect, but there was a overwhelming number of smiley faces to the point at which I was amazed.
And one thing we did that was new this year, and we got some good feedback about it, so it was a test. We're going to do it like crazy next year, is instead of just like some guests just like have their own panels. Like, I got this panel, and they just do it, and it's awesome. Some guests, like, they have a lot to say, but they don't really know what to do at a con. So we set up all these round tables where get some guests, and one of us or one of our staff come into the room and moderate a topic. Like, I think the best example of this was on Sunday. We had one copyright, remixing, and moral rights.
Yeah, did we actually make that happen? Because
Yeah.
I know that we had like a webcomics TBA, and I managed to get a webcomic in there. Did the secret webcomic panel actually happen?
I got something in there. It happened.
Okay, because it's like we had some TBA slots because, you know, we didn't have the whole year. We needed to plan, and we didn't get the guest panels until too late. We're forcing them to get them those much earlier.
Yep. But no, the copyright remixing thing went really, really well. The crowd loved it. And you know what's weird? No one in the room had ever heard of the Creative Commons.
What?
And there were some inspired people in that room.
We got to do something about that.
Yeah.
Next year, I'm doing it.
So panels aside, I mean, the con went off as far as I can tell without a hitch. The reg line was actually really reasonable. I want ConnectiCon to mail the badges.
Well, I don't think, you know.
They're not at the point where they need to yet.
Yeah, they don't need to mail the
not like
badges.
Otakon or Anime Boston.
It never hurts to mail the badges. You have one pre-reg, you should mail that motherfucker, right? But they have this system where you go up to they have these netbooks they got really cheap, and you go and you type your information in, and then you go to the desk and pay and get a badge. And it's, you know, it works. The line is never really that long.
Yep, the line kind of breezes through, but part of it, what helps is that it's a con where a lot of people show up on Friday, but a lot of people only show up on Saturday, and a lot of people only show up on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, if you live in the area, I mean, some people, they might not be interested in the whole everything but the kitchen sink. They might just want to play some board games. Why not just come Saturday, play board games for 8 hours and leave? There's nothing wrong with that.
Here, let's talk briefly about all the areas of ConnectiCon. Video gaming is like any other gaming con. Like, it's fun.
Yeah, they have a partnership with Best Buy that brings over a bunch of stuff, and I learned some interesting things about that.
Yeah,
but I don't really want to talk.
Yeah,
That's
they
not
got
relevant.
GameStop too. They have a DDR machine.
Yep.
I stuck in there for like 1 minute and played DDR.
They have a dealer's room, which is actually pretty good.
It's pretty eclectic.
It's pretty good. They have an artist alley. It's actually artist colony, I think.
Yep. But one thing I want to point out, they have a tabletop gaming area. The tabletop gaming content
It's
at
epic.
ConnectiCon is better than the majority of gaming-only cons I've ever been to.
You know what? It's better than the table. It's better than the board gaming at PAX. It is.
Yeah, straight up.
Straight up. It is the best. You know, I've never been to a Gen Con or Origins or anything, but I have confidence in what I know about those conventions. ConnectiCon might be the best tabletop gaming at a convention I know of. Now, there is a Board Game Geek Con. I want to leave that one out. I don't know. I can guess it might be better there. But ConnectiCon has the best tabletop board gaming of any con I've been to.
And the role-playing's nothing to sneeze at, too. We got Luke Crane and Jared Sorensen in, and they rocked it. They did all their panels. Jared did Action Castle, Spooky Manor, and Jungle Adventure.
Luke Crane, they had this character burning workshop. They showed up to it, right? I remember like Wyatt and Pete did that last year.
Yeah, remember how crazy popular it was?
And
like,
Luke shows up and he's like, how am I supposed to do this? What the hell did Pete do last time? He's like, how did they do this last year? But he just started doing it. And it was really awesome. And we made this crazy dwarf who was an arbalester twice and then became a drunk.
Yeah.
And you know, people were like, whoa, I have to get this game. And Luke, he figured it out as he was going through. And I was like, dude, you don't need to do the skills. He's like, I want to do the skills. So we did this, you know, and I have the character on Google Docs or whatever. So yeah, that, you know, even that went well. Something he didn't even know what to do walking into it, but then he did it.
And one thing, too, that works for ConnectiCon is due to the location, we get the Hartford Convention Center every year, which used to be way bigger than we needed. And we're growing into it to the point that we're going to fill it up someday.
Yeah, we're actually, we're using almost all of it, right? What part are we not using?
Well, we can't. The middle part's hard to use. At most, we can put op stuff in there, but there's no room that's big enough for panels that we would save.
There did used to be that conference room. I'm sure it's still there. It didn't used to be there.
I want to see if we can get some of those little conference rooms.
Yeah,
in the
why
middle.
can't why can't we get that conference room with the big table? Remember they used it like a few years ago?
Oh, what if we got all those office rooms in the Esplanade level and made those the individual rooms for scheduled RPGs?
No, the RPG rooms are fine.
If we need more RPGs, or then we could cut down one of the RPG rooms in the main area, get another workshop room, because we're already out of room for workshops.
That's all right. The workshops are cool where they are.
We'll see.
We're good.
Well, we got to not talk about meta stuff, but I don't know. Everyone seemed to have a great time. Vuvuzelas were a little bit of a problem, but we
Did
clamped
we
down
finish
on
going through every area? Oh, there's the ballroom where the dance is. Which is in the hotel, but it's not like Anime Next where you have to walk from building to building. It's like right there. They're basically attached, right? There's also some showing rooms over there and an all-night gaming room. And what else is there?
We put a bunch of stuff over there, like the weapons check and the cosplay stuff.
There's a concession stand.
Yeah, that helps, but it's necessary, and the prices are reasonable. It's not like
it's not like it's a good price, but it's more reasonable than other cons, like a few bucks less.
But look at the difference.
And it's not amazing food, but it's better. Like
a con like Otakon, forget the inside the con stuff.
Nobody should buy the at-con food.
No, it's a lot cheaper than it used to be, but there's restaurants like all over the place. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Hartford, there is nowhere to eat.
Do not eat the at-con food at pretty much any convention, but at ConnectiCon, you can eat the at-con food. It's okay. It's $1 less, and it's
plus,
it tastes $1 better, and it costs $1 less.
In their infinite wisdom, this convention center, there's an ice cream stand on the first floor.
Yeah, you get soft serve for like what, $2 or $3?
Yeah, oh my god, I stopped there like 10 times.
10 times? I
was yelling. I was doing panels.
I only went there one time.
I was also running around just swapping microphones in rooms because we didn't get enough microphones. I'm bringing our microphones next year to supplement.
Yeah, there was definitely some basically they get the technology. They have this company, most conventions, like when you go to the Javits, they pay the Javits because they have to do it. And those guys, they're awesome. They're actually good. Even though they're a union, those are high quality guys.
But I still prefer the ConnectiCon way.
They're probably the best guys.
We got this one awesome dude, and he just deals with it.
He's ConnectiCon staff.
Yeah.
And what they do is they rent all this equipment from this company for the lowest bid or whatever. And they just drop off the equipment on Thursday or early Friday. They set it up, and that's it. And it's up to ConnectiCon to use the equipment, which gives us the freedom we need. But at the same time, it's kind of a pain when we need some more equipment. Like, we only had enough equipment to hook up, 3 laptops to, with audio. We could hook up video, no problem, in every room, but the audio, not so much. So if someone needed, audio with their PowerPoint or something like that, and enough people wanted it at the same time, is problematic. And if they wanted it in a different room, that means we had to run around and move a bunch of wires.
I guess we're back to meta. So Steve Jobs, fuck you. I'd say the biggest problem we dealt with this entire con, since we were just talking about us as staff at this point, was people who have Mac laptops and don't have the little adapter to plug into a proper projector. You're never going to go to a con
but
and the projector will take DVI
But a
in.
VGA is so ugly, we can't put that in our MacBook.
Fine. No, the thing is, part of it is honestly the panels and the attendees. They should bring that little adapter.
Yeah, I mean, we should just basically be like, well, you forgot the adapter. That's, whatever. You
Yeah,
failed.
but instead we managed. I lent my laptop to a couple of panelists.
Yep. Is there anything else about the con that we can discuss? Oh, this is main events. We forgot to say that.
Yeah, main events is actually super well put together.
Yeah, it's crazy because they pretty much have a main event in there at all hours, almost, right? And I mean, obviously not overnight.
Yeah, here's an example. Last year we brought Super Art Fight in for the first time, and they could have filled probably all the panel rooms simultaneously. So this year we put them in main events, and they rocked it.
They didn't fill the main events, but they had
fill main events.
They had people have filled Masquerade fills it.
Actually, it didn't. There was room.
Really?
It just barely the whole line got in. But you know why? All the panel rooms during the Masquerade were mostly filling up too.
Yeah, that's right. There were quite a few panels during the Masquerade that actually
we
had
cheated.
people.
We put a lot of really good panels directly opposite the Masquerade on purpose.
Yeah. I actually even ran that Hatsune Miku panel started as the Masquerade theoretically ended, even though the Masquerade went late. And I thought there was going to be 5 people there. I just wanted to practice this panel, see if it worked. And people showed up. There was 20 people in there. I was in a tiny panel room late at night, and I was like, damn, look at this. I actually had to do it for reals.
Yeah.
I got to bring that guy to, some Anime Boston and such.
It says something that this con, going to ConnectiCon, despite the fact that we basically worked for the entire con, was super fun. Like, it was crazy fun. And we brought a lot of front row
Most
crew
of the
people
time.
who had never come to ConnectiCon before. But they normally would go to like Otakon, Anime Boston, like all the kind of cons that they go to. And the universal sentiment among them was, wow, ConnectiCon is nothing like I expected it to be. It's awesome. It's my favorite con.
Yeah, the location is kind of blah, but because the board gaming is the best, because we actually have staff stuff to do, we're never bored, right? And the panels, there's just so many awesome ones. It's
I want to fly Daryl Surratt out if I ever could. I would love for him to do his panels.
We
for
gotta
us.
we gotta get him there. Maybe we'll we gotta bring up, because if we get him in there to replace all the frowny face panels, it would just be so epic.
Oh my god, if Daryl
It would
Surratt
be all smiley face panels all the way
ran his
down.
Legend of Krauser, Anime's Craziest Deaths.
I mean,
and, like,
imagine if you went to a convention and at any given moment there are 2 or 3 panels running simultaneously, because we stagger the schedule, so there's breaks in every room, right? And every single one of those panels is so sweet, and you can't go to all of them. What do? It's like, oh
you
my
shoot the
gosh.
hostage.
Now, the only thing I would like to change is we had a few people that did so many panels, which is part of the reason there were so many smiley faces, right?
Yep.
Like those steampunk dudes did so many.
Oh my god!
And the family,
there's all this group stuff. So I'm not like the Penny Dreadfuls, SS Icarus, all those guys. Whisper,
the Albany School GMing guys.
Yeah, we had all these like groups of people, and their they were so professional and so organized. That
Like us.
Had we died before ConnectiCon, and we're not there for staff, a lot of the like normal panels might have had some trouble. These guys would have showed up, gotten badges somehow, done all their panels, and left, and they would have had no trouble.
They could have taken over the panels department for us if they wanted to.
And
In fact, you know what happened a lot? Like 2 or 3 times, panelists didn't show up, and someone just stood up and tried to do the panel. And I was like,
we got to tell that story.
Whenever that happened, I made sure to like tell the people that did that, like, look, email me, seriously. Tell me that you took over this panel,
like
because
one example,
you were on the good list.
We had a few panels who would show up a little bit late, and
I always felt bad when that happened, because it's like, well, I went up there and I was like, look, the panelist is late. We are not going to schedule a replacement panel. They may yet show up, but I cannot guarantee
they pretty much
will.
always showed up a few minutes later and had a good excuse, like, I was in the bathroom.
Yeah, and I would say, look, if they, I can't promise that you should stay here. You might be wasting your time. I don't know. And then when I made that announcement, most of the people would leave, and then a few minutes later, the person would show up, and I'd be like, I destroyed your audience. I'm sorry.
I think that was us being too diligent in checking every room.
Yeah, after the second time that happened and I destroyed someone's audience, the third time, I was like, look, the last time I made this announcement, the panelists showed up 5 minutes later. So, I don't want to destroy the audience for this person if they show up. And, making that announcement, everything worked out okay.
So, we're talking about people taking over panels. Like, we got to tell, because we basically meted this whole thing. So, we got some amusing anecdotes, I guess, from ConnectiCon.
Not waking up on time on Saturday?
So, backstories. Many of you know, but we have a lot of new listeners. In 2002, there was no Geeknights yet. Me and Scott are just 2 schlubs going to our first anime con ever. It's OhioCon in Ohio.
That con was so bad looking back.
That was like the worst con.
So
my
bad.
god. OhioCon, everyone says it's gotten better since then. But
I'm sure it's a real con now.
But that OhioCon, the second one in 2002, was not a con. That was nothing.
That basically, like, if you think back to it, compare that to like the thing they do in Wildwood in the convention center with the baseball cards.
I'd rather go to Wildwood.
I mean, compared to that baseball card thing, it's pretty equal to that, right?
Yeah.
Except with the DDR pad that works for a half hour the whole week.
But at that con, we'd never even heard of anime cons before. We'd no idea
like,
what
I didn't
to
really
expect.
get it.
Like, until we showed up, I was like, oh,
I mean,
dealer's
RIT
room.
Springfest was better than OhioCon 2.0.
But everyone's like, oh, anime con. So we go, and we go to our panel. We're like, oh, they've got panels. Let's go to a panel. And the first panel we went to was like Anime Club Summit. We're sitting there. There's some people in the audience, and like a bunch of our crew is there, and no one like shows up. And eventually we all kind of look at each other, and we're like, we run the RIT Anime Club. Yeah, it's our panel. Sorry. And we started running it. And we took over this panel and ran it. It was awesome. And we kind of wormed our way and did a similar thing at Otakon the same year in 2002 to the same panel, the Anime Club Summit. And then we did that panel every year at Otakon for a couple more years. And then from there, Geeknights, and now we've got like 150 something panels.
Yeah, because
to our
basically
name.
what we would say when we wanted to do a panel is we would say, look, we did the Anime Club Summit X times.
Yep.
And we're the hosts of Geeknights. Give us a panel. And as soon as someone gave us a non-Anime Club Summit panel, that opened the gates where we're like, hey, we did this. Let us do it again. And let us do this new one. And now let us do 7. Now let us run your whole panels.
When
department.
MagFest emailed us, they're like, hey, would you guys like to be guests? Like, we'd love you to come. And I really want to go to MagFest. That looks so awesome.
I so want to go to MagFest, like, as everyone there has balls of steel.
They're like, so do you have a list of like stuff you've done in the past just for, and I sent them the list of panels we've actually done. And
they were like, too much.
The response
TMI.
I got back was just an exclamation point.
Oh, man.
So Saturday, right? Friday, like we'd managed, everything was awesome. Sunday, everything was awesome. We have this ass early panel, Good Morning ConnectiCon, that it's kind of like morning announcements and all this stuff. We have this whole strategy as to why it's there, and it works. We basically hang out. And I woke up Saturday morning and I felt like, wow, I feel really well rested. It's really sunny out. And then Scott's like, oh shit, it's like 9. We both fucked up our alarms.
Yeah, we
wake
didn't.
up.
The alarms did not go off. I looked at the clock when I woke up. I pushed the button on my phone. It said 9, and I was supposed to be at the panel at 8:30. I was like, fuck me.
So
my breakfast.
All of our staff, like the front row crew, like all our friends who were doing staff stuff for us, they didn't bother calling us. They assumed we had something going on, and they just managed all the other panels just fine.
No other panels had started yet.
Well, there's the stuff
There
in
was
the
nothing
ballroom,
to do.
and they like checked in all the panel.
The ballroom
rooms.
guy though, that's early in the morning is the guy who does the exercising and
Yep,
stuff.
yep.
He's a staff guy. He's totally.
But Scott
sweet.
Johnson comes to me later, and he's like, "Yeah, these 2 guys were like doing Good Morning ConnectiCon. I figured that was the plan because they kind of left him there."
Scott Johnson always wakes up early.
So Scott runs down there, and those 2 guys were just kind of running the panel.
Those guys are awesome. I'm waiting for those guys to email us so we can make sure they get a panel next year.
And along those lines, we added a lot of panels. They're in the addendum, all that stuff, because of scheduling. Cons always have these troubles. Next year, none. But Faku.net wanted to do a panel called Hentai Worth Watching. And we're like, all right, we need some content. We're gonna
We
let
had
them
a
in.
we had a spattering of hentai content. We had an 18+ night court thing.
Yeah, we had a Vampires Don't Sparkle,
Which-
which is done by one of our like regular awesome panelists.
But the Vampires Don't Sparkle was not hentai, right?
No, but it was still 18 plus.
Yeah, it just had so many bad words in it. Wasn't that the deal?
Yeah,
I guess also
basically.
some possible vampire
But
gore.
Hentai Worth Watching, the long story short is these guys told us straight up that they saw our Anime You Should See panel and they were inspired. And they're funny guys. Like they have a similar dynamic that we do. So they're like, we want to do the same thing with hentai. And I got, I checked the IDs for that panel and I kept peeking my head in and watching it. It was hilarious. Those guys are awesome.
Like Happy House of Hentai hilarious?
It was actually funnier, I think.
Whoa, sorry, Happy House of Hentai. I didn't see it. I can't corroborate this insult
It's hard
to
to
the
say
Happy
though,
House.
because the Happy House of Hentai was a long time ago. But I remember laughing so hard I couldn't breathe. That was at ConnectiCon. That was a long
Happy House of
time ago.
Hentai is fucking amazing. All right. But yeah, there's actually the other hentai panel was why hentai, and I didn't know what was going on with that panel. But when I checked it out, like I poked my head in at the end to make sure it was ending on time, and she was talking about like the comic book legal defense fund and stuff, and I was like, oh shit, this is a real panel. This isn't just like a bunch of porn. What's going on here?
Yeah.
And it was totally a sweet panel. So I mean, not only to have all these smiley face panels, but the few hentai panels we do have were classy and not like, just, stop, tentacles,
Or the worst hentai panel. See,
There was a tentacle panel, but it was all Lovecrafty.
There's 3 levels. The Lovecraft panel was done by Alex, a friend of ours, Uncle Yo, Carl Custer, and Alex's father, and C.J. Henderson.
And one other guy, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Oh, petering out here. Yeah, we ended up mostly talking about meta because we have our weird perspective of cons.
Well, I mean, what else? I mean, do I want to talk about the things I saw in the dealer's room? I finally found that Krauser Revoltech
God damn it.
that was made famous by Astro Toys Rob Bricken. So
the
now
last one too.
I have
Is he going to be in Scott's box?
maybe.
Is he going to make appearances?
I have the Krauser. And then what else do I have? I bought Roll Through the Ages, which is basically Yahtzee plus Civilization. So I'm gonna play that tomorrow board game night and see how good it is. And I played the solitaire version, and it was pretty fun. I liked it, even though it's half Yahtzee, which is bad.
So, I mean, I guess we can do a few shout outs. I can't shout out because it's weird. Normally I expect after a thing like this, you guys are awesome. You have 5 or 6 names.
Shout out to every panelist who had a smiley face. You're all awesome. You know who you are.
You guys like really rocked it.
Even the guy who didn't show up to his panel about dog mushing, right? He was awesome because he did the other panels and he was staff and he apologized to us and he was totally sweet.
Yeah, he had a good excuse.
Actually, I bet that panel seemed pretty awesome. I kind of want to see it now to learn about like Iditarod and shit.
Yep. But we really got to thank Aizawa Sensei and Ono Sensei because they came. They seemed to have a great time. Their panel went really well. Ono Sensei looked like he was laughing when we were talking about Fist of the North Star and showing those clips.
A politician in Japan, because there's stuff going on in the Diet right now. Basically, one faction is really failing, and the guy was like, "Omae wa mou shinderu." He's like, they're already dead. Who else? Oh, all the volunteers, orange shirt people at ConnectiCon. Oh my God, so awesome! Like they were almost enforcer quality. I don't want to say they were enforcer quality, but they were almost enforcer quality. Because the only thing, there were individual volunteers who were enforcer quality, but there were also enforcers who ran away. So the total across all of them was lower. But the ones that did work were so great. There was that girl who watched that panel room like the whole time, and there were like the two people who would always sit in front of the dealer's room and the two who sat in front of the artist alley checking badges.
That's like the worst job.
That is the worst job, but they sat there doing that job and they did it well. And
I rounded up 2 volunteers to handle the line for the ConnectiCon musical, and they held that line like tighter against the wall than I could have imagined.
Yeah, so the volunteers were totally sweet, and
also our staff and pretty much all the staff of ConnectiCon kick ass.
Yeah, there was not any ConnectiCon staff who were fail. I did not see one.
Of everyone to Laura, one of our front row crew people, for basically like managing the entire hallway of panels a couple of times while we were running around. And Wyatt.
Yeah, and Wyatt, man in the walkie-talkie.
Oh, my God. So right before...
Jess and Judith handling the workshop hallway.
Right before Nuri doing the knitting panel, Emily translating for the guest. But... there was this period where Scott and I had to kind of go off the radio and be unavailable because we had to do, the anime you should see, which is like a big panel. And then I had to do with Ono Sensei's panel and all this stuff. So I basically handed Wyatt this radio just as there's all these people all over this being like, we need room from panels to come here. We need room from panels to come here. And I gave Wyatt the radio. I'm like, you're me. Have fun. And I booked.
Yeah, most of our problems really stemmed from the publications, right?
Which was due to the fact that,
because we had the real schedule, but we couldn't get the real schedule out there. Most people had the flawed schedule.
We got the addendum
and the addendum, which was also flawed.
It was only flawed in 2 ways. One panel did not actually say, it said panel and didn't say the number.
2 of them.
And the workshops are all flipped in the addendum. That was it.
Yeah, well, only on Friday.
Yeah, which made it even more awesome.
Yeah, the addendum had some problems.
We're working on that for next year.
But
Minor
next
changes.
year, if the publications are perfect, which I suspect they should be, the schedule will be finalized early enough, so there shouldn't be really that many changes, if any, to that final printed schedule, and it'll be so amazing. Because no one will say, where's the whatever, or what time is the what, or, what's going to be in this webcomic TBA slot. It'll just be perfect. And... we found out we actually are allowed to put up, the standees outside the rooms.
Oh my God, I'll buy them myself if I have to.
Yeah, we'll just do it. It's going to happen. So there you go. It's going to be perfect.
ConnectiCon was freaking awesome. And basically, it's a con where I don't think it's at the point I wouldn't, like if I lived in Seattle, I would not fly to Hartford.
No, anyone who it's not something you should travel far to. But if you're in New England, maybe not North Maine, but
if you're within like 3 or 4 hours of Hartford, Connecticut,
if you're in New England or near New York City or even northern Jersey or southern New York State, southeastern New York State-ish area, between the Mid-Hudson Valley
it's like the
and
most
the city,
rockin' con.
You gotta go to ConnectiCon. Anywhere in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, maybe South New Hampshire, Vermont, even ConnectiCon is where it's at.
Yep. Oh, so we had one of the panels we had to add. It was actually like a big deal, like one of our guest kind of panels. Art the Hypnotist. He does like a hypnosis show. He does it every year. It's always awesome.
Yeah, so I get this hypnotist guy. He comes in and we're doing Good Morning ConnectiCon, right? And I'm sort of a little bit skeptical. You know me. We're skeptical on this show.
Yep. So he comes in and Scott's like, does hypnosis really work?
I'm like, is this for real? And you know what? 90% of 90% of his answers to my questions were not Randy. There was a little bit, right? He was talking about.
It's weird because he'd edge toward Randy, but the last second he'd be like, "But the reality of science, blah blah blah."
Yeah, he'd be like,
"Oh, wow,
he was
yeah."
like, there are some studies into breast augmentation by hypnosis, and I'm like, really?
But then he's like,
boobs getting bigger, waving a watch in front of your face.
But then he's like, placebo effect and all these things. Like,
he was definitely not a man who believed that it was magic. He definitely believed it was science. He definitely had studied the science and neuro-linguistic whatever.
What counts for a lot too is
he was for real.
He's hilarious.
He is also an excellent entertainer.
So I
highly recommend Art the Hypnotist for your like if you have a kid's birthday party. Why don't get the lame magician who pulls the bunny out of the hat? Get Art the Hypnotist.
Seriously. The best. And what we learned is, Scott's grilling him, right? And we had this audience for Good Morning ConnectiCon. We got to do a Q&A with this guy, like as a panel, because people in
Why
the
don't we
room,
get him on the Geeknights?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Also, right, they had these two guys who also came to Good Morning ConnectiCon, and they were doing the how to build a gaming computer. So I'm like, So, do you think so I'm grilling them too, because I just love grilling people, right? I'm like, so you think SLI is a good idea? They're like, no, you should get just one video card. And I'm like, Intel or ATI? They're like, okay, if you really need to save money, get the AMD, but really Intel is the quality.
Intel or ATI.
I freaking grilled them, and they had the right answer to every question. These guys were they would give the same advice as me, so their panel was totally sweet and awesome. They even had a computer there so they could show you putting it together. Excellent panel. Building a computer, guys.
Actually, so we had the parkour. Phil did a parkour panel. We had workshops and everything.
Excellent thing.
What we learned from this, there's a huge parkour community in Hartford.
Yep.
They all showed up. They're all these like parkour experts. Like, oh man, parkour.
Did they come to the con because of the parkour?
Supposedly, some did.
Oh snap! See, look at that. That's what you get for diversifying.
Yeah, Phil was like, oh my god, there's people here who are good. This is awesome.
How about the para? Totally packed, and those guys are rocking
so
it.
Awesome.
Who else is going on?
Art the Hypnotist, right? He's doing his show. I had to sneak into
you
the room.
actually saw it? I didn't get to see any of the show, sadly.
I had to sneak into the room, so I stuck my head in. I'm watching the
and
show.
You got
really
hypnotized and he trapped you there.
Basically, I was watching it, and I had to, I watched it for a little bit, and I went to the front door, and I tried to sneak in to get an audio cable out from the back. So he looks at me, and I just kind of like stopped and stood there like I was mesmerized. And then the crowd just went nuts. And then he totally played with it, and he went with it. So I went with it. It was hilarious. And then he let me go.
But of course, that was fake. You were not actually hypnotized.
No, but it was hilarious.
You should have been like, yes, master.
I don't know what else I can say. This was freaking awesome. And as a testament to, how much we love ConnectiCon.
Well, let me try to make some negatives of ConnectiCon, right? Publications, we failed slightly.
Yep.
Kind of bigly-ish, medium failure on publications. The parking is still a lot of monies.
Yeah, but it's still less than Boston.
Hartford still sucks for food.
Still better than, actually, ConnectiCon was the only other con we had trouble with food at.
Yeah. Let me try to think of what else sucks. You do have to wait in line for the badge, even though it's not an epic line.
Yeah, someday we'll fix that. And next year, no panelists left to wait in line. We got that down.
There is an awesome system of getting tickets for playing board games that get you awesome prizes. Like, you can get an actual board game. You can get Oshi, a great game. They had a huge stack of it for like 7 tickets. It's crazy. You can get like $40 board games for like 12 tickets.
Well, what they pointed out was, and someone suggested, they need to basically have inflation a little bit in the tickets.
Yeah, they need tickets you need to be able to get more of them. They need them to be worth a little bit less, and they need to make it more publicized that the ticketing system exists and how it works, because it's not very consistent. So, like, if you actually, like, are just there for board games and you want to get a copy of a board game for reals for, tickets, you have to play a lot of board games and really work this system that is not so well explained.
So in the con feedback, it was great because one person, they made this really valid point about how the tickets need to be devalued a little bit to make it work better. And they're perfectly right, and I think we should do it.
Only devalued a little bit, because I think
bit.
it's kind of awesome that a ticket is worth so much. Right? If the ticket isn't worth a lot, like you go to the arcade and it's like 1,000 tickets, you get the plastic frog. It's like, you don't feel like getting any tickets. Why should I bother? But if the tickets are so valuable, you'll be like, I will fucking do anything to get a ticket. Holy shit.
Pointed out the fact that, all right, so because of the way the tickets work, if you play like 10 games in the one period, you only get tickets for one of them. And she's like, you don't get anything. And the one staffer, like the gaming guy, was basically like, well, I'm assuming you had fun playing the game. And she was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, because you need to be paid to play a board. You wouldn't have played the board game if you weren't basically being paid to do it, right? But they should. I think the system should basically be what I thought the system was, but I was apparently incorrect. If you play a board game, right, by taking it out, checking it out. You mark down the time you took it out and the time you brought it back, right? They should just give you 1 ticket per half hour, right? But you had to have actually played, and
so I check out Oshi and I come back 4 hours later.
Yeah, I mean,
I won.
The board gaming people can tell, right, if you've played it or not. They can ask you how the game works. They ask who won the game, right? Give the extra ticket to the winner, right? So, obviously people might try to work the system, but you can monitor that, right? If someone comes up for the second time, because giving someone 1 ticket, for falseness is not a problem, right? But giving them 2 tickets for lying is kind of okay. Maybe we're going to check you the second time. So if someone comes up a second time, just keep your eye on them. Look that they're actually playing a game over at one of the tables. And if they are, keep giving them tickets. And if not, then be like, look, I watched you. You just walked out with that and didn't come back.
Of course, that's another department. Basically, I'm so happy with the way
that has nothing
works.
to do with us. That's a game department. We got no control over that.
Yeah, ConnectiCon.
Is that the end?
I think that's the end. But we're back.
Oh, there. I have one more negative comment.
One more?
Yes. The dealer's room, right? They have this bag check. And on Friday, the bag check was for the video games and for the dealer room. Now, the thing is, they decided to stop doing bag check for dealer room, which is good, because what other con does bag check for dealer room? Not Otakon, right? No, almost none of them, right? So that made no sense. Also, you go into the dealer room, dealer area, you get you buy something, they give you a bag. So what's the point of the bag check, right? A bag check on the way out makes sense, doing the receipt thing, even though I don't like that. But doing it on the way in makes no sense. However, there is no, lying about it. There is a shoplifting problem in the ConnectiCon dealing room.
Of course.
And the dealers were very upset.
It happens at a lot of cons more and more.
Yes, but at ConnectiCon it is particularly a problem. And I really don't know what to do. I mean, we might just have to hire real security to actually stand in the dealer's room looking around. I don't know. Is that even going to stop it? I don't know.
Get standees of cops and put them just outside where it looks like it's a real cop standing there, 20 of them lined up.
Yeah, I mean, I really have no idea what to do about that. Oh, speaking of cops, I'll make this the final note. I remember my story about the racist guy at the barbershop.
Oh, yeah.
There were 2 cops just standing in the hotel at ConnectiCon.
Oh, those guys were also awesome.
So real cops, Hartford cops. So I was like, hey, dudes, I have this completely unrelated question for you. So they're like, hey, what's up? They were, I almost thought they were firemen. They were so nice.
And so what? You're like, so I got this weed, right?
So no, I was in this barbershop and this dude was so racist. I'm like, what would you do? They're like, oh man, it's like you can't do anything. It just sucks. But they were totally cool and they gave me some advice. So awesome to the cops in the hotel. And ConnectiCon 2010 is out. Yep.
So we will see you guys at ConnectiCon 2011, I hope. We'll be opening panel submissions sooner than you'll expect.
As soon as the website people get their stuff in order.
Yep. And we're already we're already putting together the list of people we want to invite back.
Mm-hmm.
You guys did awesome panels. Do you want to do another panel next year?
Yeah, I think though we're gonna, the people who did 10 panels, we should shrink them down to 3 or 4.
Well, the trouble is we kind of hit a turning point.
Maybe put a 3 or 4 maximum on.
We had to turn away a lot of panel submissions, and I think we're only gonna have to turn away more and more. ConnectiCon's reaching a turning point to where we're going to be able to be really picky and choosy.
Well,
and
I think
the best of the best of the best.
What we can do is we always want to let in some new stuff each time. So we can let reruns happen next year, but I don't think we should allow reruns more than anything to go more than 2 years in a row, even if it's really popular. And then, if one group runs a lot of panels, we can shrink them to a limit of 3 or 4 and have them cycle it. Right, if they want to stick around. If they can't cycle it, then we can let someone new in.
I mean, that's what we do at PAX. We don't run Beyond D&D at every PAX, despite the fact that they kept asking
I think Beyond
us to.
D&D is dead. Oh my god, my running of Beyond D&D was perhaps the worst Beyond D&D we've ever done. It was
losing
should
be fun.
There was almost no one in there, and did you change the panel or the order of the slides or something?
No, you just forgot.
It was so messed up. Our other panels were really good though, so that makes up for it.
Oh my god, I love running anime openers from around the world.
Yeah,
that is my favorite panel to run.
Bite-Size Anime was all right. The Miku panel was pretty great, and
Anime You Should See was always
great.
Crazy.
And we're good. Whatever.
And we ran a bunch of quickie panels. There was one panelist who showed up late, so I did a quick thing on, I had a harmonica with me, so I was like, hey, I'll teach you guys how to play the harmonica, and people seem to really like it.
We're really done now, for real.
We're really done?
For real.
Done?
Done.
Done?
Finito.
Stopping?
Fin.
You liking the show to end?
I like it to show to end. I like it to eat a dinner. I'm hungry.
He like the show to end.
I like it a rim to shut up. Vuvuzela.
This This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geek Nights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geek Nights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geek Nights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.